Oh, I'm scared of doing it that way because it feels like it'll just flop over.
Yeah, every time I clip one here, it just ends up flopping down here, and it just looks like, yeah. Check it out.
Try and instigate some penis envy. That's where I'm at. She goes, hey, what do you want to name her? And apparently Whoopsie Daisy is not a cool name. Hey, the weirdest part about those movies, you ever notice that it's like, he'll be like, all right, I want some whiskey, I want a room, I want a lady of the night, I want a shower. And he throws down one heavy coin.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's the exchange rate on this? Like,
Right.
what is that? That's not worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is like I get shot on stage or something. And that's not happening, so we're good. And, my ex-wife doesn't live here.
Well, welcome to the Smokey Guys. I'm CR Parsons. I'm one of the Smokey Guys.
And I'm Kevin Price, the other Smokey Guy. And today we have a special guest. So we have a third Smokey Guy that's going to be sitting in with us.
Yes, if we can call him a third Smokey Guy. The thing is, I think he may be the third, fourth, and fifth. Because not only is this gentleman an amazing comedian.
I do know that.
I would go with okay at best.
Let's not
amazing. Get them that excited.
I'd go with amazing. I call what was the festival you were on? Altercation Fest?
Altercation, yeah.
I call an Altercation Fest comedian an awesome comedian.
Okay, I'll take it.
You don't have to worry about being
but
funny
only
on
because
here.
I've already had some whiskey.
Yeah, right.
That's the only reason I'll take it. If I was sober, it's like, how dare you?
But also an amazing chef.
Yes.
I've been called worse, for sure. I do cook.
And a bartender extraordinaire.
Yes. Yeah.
That one I'll just go with bartender.
Yeah. That's the one.
That's the one. That's the line. Okay.
But some of our viewers may actually recognize him from his own podcast, Binge with Terrell Norton.
That's true.
Me. That is me.
We've been on. We
have
had a guest on.
We
there.
have
A couple of times actually. Yeah. And it was.
I think we only released one.
He was on a couple of times, but I was like, we'll just leave Kevin home.
No, I was on it twice because
we were recorded twice.
But if you're talking to people that have listened to it, you're only on one.
Right. Yeah. My IMDb shows it
we
once.
killed 2 bottles of whiskey,
Yes.
so we're good.
So we all won at the end of the day.
We won as a collective.
Yes.
That's it.
So welcome, Terrell Norton.
Hello there.
Not Terrell.
No.
Producer
Terrell
Kevin.
Owens, not Terrell Davis.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. Good way to put it.
I had told him that you were coming over, and he goes, "So where does Terrell live?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know where Terrell lives, but Terrell lives on the west side."
I remember this is an awful story, and I'm gonna start off just that way we have a low bar after that. I remember an ex of mine. She goes, "Hey, so Mom, this guy's coming over. He's my new boyfriend. His name's Terrell." And her mom got so serious. Was like, "Is he black?" And she just goes, "Mom!" And she goes, "I'm just saying." She goes, "No, he's not black." And apparently her mom just went, "Whew!" And then, of course, when I showed up, I go, "I have questions about this story."
Well, my youngest son, his middle name is Terrell.
No shit.
No shit.
We've known each other this long. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Really? I haven't told you this
He
before?
held it back
No.
just for this.
Yeah, he was like, "I'm saving this. I'm starting a podcast.
Podcast
and
material.
I'm going to fuck your world up."
7 years from now, we're going to talk about this.
It has been 7 years.
Oh, yeah. But the funny thing was, he was playing baseball, and so they're talking on the baseball team sometime, and something comes up about their middle names. And somebody sees his middle name, and they go, "Your middle name's Terrell?" And he goes, "Yeah, don't you know I'm half black?" And his best friend turned to him and went, "Really?" He goes, "No, you know both my mom and my dad."
Dipshit, no.
No, dumbass. My name is Terrell.
Oh, I had a guy recently. I've started to say this on stage, so you don't have to come see me. Still come see me. No, this guy, he called me. It was like a debt collector. And I love fucking with them just a little bit, but I was really tired that day. And so picked up the phone. "Hi, I'm calling for Terrell Norton." And I just didn't have the energy anymore. I went, "This is him." He dropped all professionalism immediately, and he goes, "What's up, player?" I go, "Get the fuck out of here." I was like, "Nothing but the rent, man. What's up with you?" Dude, he goes, "Listen, they want me to ask you for money, but you ain't got it." Click. And I went, "Mother, all right." It's the greatest phone call of my life.
That is too funny. That is too funny. Well, for a cigar podcast, y'all aren't cigaring very much.
Hold on, let me grab mine.
There you go.
Oh.
I inhale these.
Is it like a cigar-flavored vape?
Pretending to smoke.
Swisher Sweets.
This one's
vape.
blue raspberry,
Oh,
actually. That's
Yeah.
Blue raspberry, a flavor that does not exist in nature. Raspberries are red, damn it. How did blue become raspberry?
I have no idea, but you know what? If it led to this vape, I'll thank them. It's quite nice.
Well, we are going to solve your vaping tonight because we're going to have you smoke a cigar.
I mean, okay, but
Have you ever smoked cigars before?
Okay, so back in the day, I was in the military, never deployed. Before you get comments about like this piece of shit, never deployed. I got chaptered for drinking. By the way, do you know how much you have to drink for the United States military to be like, calm down, dude?
Well, thank you for your service.
The fuck off.
Or thank you for getting served.
Yeah, I got served papers. It was more like, hey, please leave. Like that.
Yeah, you got it.
Sign there. Fuck off. But no, when I was in though, there was it's a military base, so they have like cigar shops and bars and all that. So I was like, you know what? I've hit all the bars, so let's see what this cigar shop has. So I showed up, and there for a while. What do you call them? They're shorter, but they're not like skinny. They're not cigarillos. They're just the ones that are just kind of a ready to go kind of smoke break almost. He had a word for them.
Petite Coronas or
I think that was it actually.
Cigarillos.
Yeah, well it wasn't. Yeah, it's not cigarillos because it wasn't like those thin ones.
I'm gonna go with Petite Corona.
Yeah, he gave me like almost like a bullet. You know what I mean? Just kind of.
Yeah.
So I just said there a puff of those. And this guy, he's old guy in Fort Bliss, El Paso, and he's telling me stories about when he met Sinatra. He's telling me stories, all this shit. And I talk a lot, and I didn't get a word in edgewise because I was like, "This is, please keep telling me stories."
Right.
But around that time, I smoked like small ones all there. But the other thing that I smoke, you inhale all of it, so
well, yeah,
it's a little, it's a little different.
You're already ahead of the curve on a lot of people that haven't smoked cigars or maybe did and didn't do it right. So don't inhale.
Right.
Which is always the
you don't want me to throw up? I mean, that'd be some views.
There's a pool.
A pool?
There's a pool on there.
You know that old classic comic book hero, Deadpool? He's fun.
Yeah.
Pew.
Exactly. But there is one right there if you need a puke. Producer Kevin.
The pool? The next day he's like, that Terrell's never invited my fucking house ever again. Why is this chunky? This is stupid.
It's okay, we'll throw him because next time we invite you, we'll see, Terrell is coming.
Terrell was here.
Terrell's coming.
That's me with just like my lead tasso fucking alter ego coming in. I'm just kicking soccer balls and shit. If you don't get that, I apologize. That's
the CAO session might be a good.
I think it's a good one.
It's a moderately flavored cigar somehow.
Yeah.
The first few I had
naturally flavored.
Yeah, it's just naturally flavored, but it's like I say, I may have left these a little too close to my Deadwood series, so it's picked up some of the sweetness and stuff. If you like blue raspberry, this may be kind of more
right up your alley.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
maybe right up your alley.
That's code for hey pussy. We've got a cigar for you.
Well, I told him. He said, well, we got to bring something a little lighter. Well, the only light-colored wrapper cigar I have in my whole collection, I have several Man of War Virtues, and they're a almost blonde wrapper, so it's a Connecticut wrapper.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Looks
Hold on.
very light.
Are we just judging people based on the color they are,
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. Getting you figured out.
Well,
Okay.
You're new to this. It's okay.
It's a Connecticut rasper.
Wow. Pule and raspers.
No, this is crassberry. This is blue crassberry.
Yeah.
When I smoke it, it's very crass.
It's a Connecticut wrapper, so it's very waspy.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. You gotta tell me twice.
The problem with that cigar is the last time I gave one to somebody.
Did they hurl?
No, he actually knows how to smoke cigars, but
okay.
he ended up passing out in my lawn because the cigar turns out to be much
This one,
stronger.
or
no, a different one.
A different one.
much stronger than
I was
you
like,
think.
listen, if I pass out in your lawn, you put me there. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those. Like,
That
you had a
cigar-
barbecue, and you're like, help yourself to whatever. I was like, what a terrible idea.
That cigar is an ass kicker. It really
No
is.
shit. Okay,
Yeah.
is it just like a high nicotine content? Because I mean, I only smoked like a little, and not only that, I smoked what the guy gave me. He was telling me Sinatra stories, so I
Yeah,
didn't really. But it was like, so is it just like a high nicotine content kind of fucked him up, or?
It's the types of leaves that they used on the inside. They used much stronger leaves on the inside
Oh, okay,
for the
gotcha.
filler and the binder than
Okay.
they normally would with a light-colored wrapper. And
Gotcha,
so,
okay.
while you're looking at a very light-colored wrapper, which should be a very light smoke, a very smooth,
Mhm.
easy smoke, what's inside is the ass kicker. So it's
Just like
it's
me.
a hidden ass
Nice.
kicker.
Yeah, that's
Hidden
how
ass
I was
kicker.
made. Yeah, we're gonna put a light glaze on this, but they're gonna start, and it's just gonna ruin their life.
So I
Terrell
went
Norton
ahead
comedy.
and V-cut it.
Okay.
I think that's a good way to
I
introduce
think
a
so,
cigar too, for flavor. Cutting the cigar, I'm gonna just go ahead and treat you like you haven't had a cigar.
Please, by all
Or,
means.
Treat you like a noob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So depending on how you cut a cigar, so like I brought a V-cut here.
Okay.
It's got a
Jesus Christ.
blade in there that's got a V shape, as you can see.
No, I think I saw one of these. It was at a circumcision, but still,
Exactly.
it was. Yeah.
Well,
it's
This is a double guillotine, and that's a little more
That's
circumcision.
okay, yeah.
that will cut the whole end off.
Right.
So depending on how
why...
you cut it is where it places the smoke on your tongue.
Okay, gotcha.
So you get different flavors. You cut the whole thing off.
I didn't know there
the
were
whole
physics
tongue.
involved in
Right.
that shit.
There
Fucking
are.
hell.
Or we could punch just a hole in the end, and it would shoot that smoke like straight down your tongue, and you would only taste the stuff that the center of your tongue would
You're
allow
a chef.
you.
You understand the
I
difference.
know-
It's just like
how taste
food.
buds
I
work.
am a chef and former whore. I understand taste buds. Yeah, that's.
I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
toast.
this is the part where I'm asking, like, are we editing or is this?
No,
Okay,
not at
cool.
all. Not at all.
He's our editor, so
We're in for a good episode.
Yeah, we run with what we shoot. So
Sponsored by Buffalo Trace. That's it.
I'll let
Not
you
sponsored.
light it further.
That's. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'll let you.
the foot has been
go ahead.
toasted.
Just push down on that button. Right
On this
there,
one
you're
right
good.
here?
Yep.
This is. I mean, you have aficionados probably watching, going, "This fucking."
We may, but
We
that's
may.
fine. If they're watching, they're interested in seeing noobs make fools of themselves.
I'll be your favorite guest. This will be great.
Go ahead and give it another because it's not quite lit all the way around. There you go.
There you go. Yep.
See, you smoke weed. You know how this works. You know how to get a
What?
good cherry on it.
Never.
You know how to
How
get
dare
a
you
good
accuse
cherry
him
on a
of such
stick.
a thing?
Once or twice.
You had to try it once.
I
And
had to
twice
make sure that I was
that-
voting for the right thing. is
Right,
what it was, yeah.
What are you smoking, KP?
This is a special gift from our producer, Mr. Kevin Schultz.
Ah.
He went over to Saarbrücken in Germany and went to a, I believe the shop was called Delay, correct? And
Delay.
they have cigars, they have booze, and he was kind enough to bring back some cigars for us, and this is the Dunkel, named after one of the German beers.
Actually, Dunkel just means dark in German.
Dark, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
I'm doing my Duolingo. and
Oh, well, then.
Dunkel means dark in German.
It's dark,
so
well, it's a dark cigar.
it's a dark
so
cigar.
It goes with my humor.
Also, I
and
love the idea if there was a
personality.
German guy watching this, and the fucking second you started talking,
Yeah.
he was like angry. Because I don't care what you're doing. If you're doing something for like social media, anything like that, the comments,
Mm-hmm.
they'll just start commenting before any kind of information is revealed or anything.
Right.
It's like, you pieces of oh, he answered that? Backspace. But I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Fingers on the buttons. Well, I'm smoking something called the Hyena. I don't even know who makes this. I haven't looked that close. I picked it up at a sale the other day, and it's kind of a Lionsdale size.
I think Black Label, maybe.
It is black.
Zach Wild's
something.
making cigars
Yeah, I
now?
believe it's
Cool.
Black Label that makes those. I
Black
think.
something. I'll have to look at it later and try to get a shot of it. But it's been a good smoke so far. I'm gonna light up another one here in a minute, and
Of course you are.
we'll discuss it when I get to it.
I think
But-
my favorite thing in the world was we would do comedy shows together. we'd be sitting out after the show, whatever, and people would comment, "Oh man, CR's lighting another cigar." I'm like, "You just lit another joint. Fuck out of here."
Are we keeping score?
I didn't even see CR was here. You're lighting another joint. I'm high as fuck.
Yeah, I am known in the comedy circle as the CR guy, or the cigar guy.
I do like the
As
CR
the CR
guy.
guy.
Though.
Yeah, CR guy too.
It's like, wow, you called him by his name, but yeah, that's fun.
No, I am known as the cigar guy because
You're also known as the guy that just apparently knows anybody who's ever done an open mic in the country of the United States. Like, I remember somebody being like, "Hey, this guy's coming out. Not a lot of people know this comedian or whatever." And Sarah goes, "I know him. He's a nice guy. Really nice guy." Goes back to smoke a cigar. I go, "Get the fuck out of here that you know that guy."
Well, that's just because when I started comedy, I got out of Tulsa.
Right.
I got out of Tulsa and traveled, so I met a lot of people in a lot of different places. That a lot of the comedians, I mean, for a long time, most of the comedians did their comedy right here in Tulsa.
Of course, yeah.
And they didn't even, if they left town, it was to go to Oklahoma City.
Well, and I think we've had this conversation that it's like, it's kind of come full circle that now new comics, they just kind of feel like, oh, I gotta do a lot of shows in Tulsa before I'm allowed to do anything outside. And it's like,
No.
if you have a connect, fucking go for
Go
it.
for
Like,
it.
it'll be fun.
Absolutely.
And CR is the one that taught me there's a rule when it comes to comedians on the road. If you're outside of city limits, well, state limits is what he used to say. If you're outside of city limits, you can talk shit about other comedians. But he won't do it until then. I tried to get him to do it one time at a show. I go, "Hey, so that guy," and he goes, "We're still in town." And he goes right back. I go, "God damn it."
I've always called him Comedy Switzerland because he really
So neutral.
He's absolutely will not say anything bad about anybody.
Even if he
else.
doesn't actually laugh, he's still nodding
Right.
at the comedian. Be like, "I see what you're going for."
Yeah.
Well, comedy drama is
Worthless.
ubiquitous.
Yes.
I mean, it's everywhere. And every scene has it. It's hysterical because you talk to any scene and they're like, "Oh, the drama around here is the worst ever."
I've never seen anything like it. It's like,
Like-
you guys sound like us. Like,
Or just like everybody else. But I mean, band drama is the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you get beef between a couple of musicians and they're equally as bad.
Oh, my favorite is when they're talking about the beef, just ask them where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
No one can seem to
The origin.
Right, half
pinpoint
the
when it
time
happened.
nobody remembers.
But everyone is like, you gotta pick a side.
Yeah.
That's like between the dickhead and the asshole.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, the guy that's kind of funny and the other guy that's kind of funny. Like, no, I'm good.
Well, you know, what's funny is the music beef is a little different, though, because if you've got music beef with somebody, you can avoid them. Just do different shows. With comedy beef,
Comedians
you
will
end
be
up
like,
on
"We're
the
on the
same
same
shows
show,
with
fuck."
people you've got beef with.
Right.
And if you refuse to be on the show with somebody you've got beef with, guess who's not going to be on the show?
Yeah.
You.
They don't tell you about that part.
Yeah.
Like, no one gives you that heads up before you go into it. That
Yeah,
it's just kind of...
If you put your foot down and go, "I'm not doing a show with them," well, guess what? You're going to be the one that's not on the show because
I
you're
was
the
on
problem.
a show recently with someone that apparently... I don't have beef with them. I don't have beef with anybody. I'm just kind of like, let's see what happens. This is going to be funny. But apparently somebody who has beef with me over very dumb shit.
Yeah.
But apparently they came up and they were just kind of like, "Listen, I'll do the show, but don't ever book me with that guy again." And I thought that was funny because the promoter told me about it. He goes, "Do you want to hear something funny?" And so I walked up to him as soon as he walked in, the guy that had beef with me. I did a prom hug, dude. I did hip bone and pulled him in and I go, "Heard you got problems." And he didn't say anything. He just walked off and I was just kind of like, "All right, buddy. You have a good night."
Well, that rule came about because I was on the road with a comedian, and they said something about, they're like, "Yeah, I've got problems with all these different comedians, but you are like friends with everybody. You don't seem to have a bad opinion about anybody." I'm like, "Oh, no.
He's
You
like
are
waiting
so
for the
wrong.
road sign.
Yeah.
He's like, "Now leaving." Okay, let me tell you some shit.
I have strong opinions about every single comedian. I just keep that shit to myself."
And I feel like that's also why you get as many shows as you do, is that it's just kind of like, "Oh, CR's the greatest." And meanwhile, CR's showing up to going, "I can't believe I'm on a fucking show with this guy. God damn it."
Driving out there just angry.
Why am I speeding? All right, because that fucking guy's there and I'm going to kick his ass.
No, I just keep that to myself because I figure everybody has an opinion of me too, and I don't want to know them all.
CR, you and I both know I've probably met every comedian in Tulsa that's newer and things like that. The only opinions that ever come up about CR Parsons are, what a nice guy. What a goddamn sweetheart that guy.
He smokes a lot of cigars.
The polar opposite of every opinion of me.
Terrell Norton, that loud
What
mouth.
a piece of shit. I got introduced on a podcast not too long ago as the most hated comedian in Tulsa.
Oh, wow.
And then they clarify, they go, not by the audience. The audience loves him.
Yeah.
Comedians hate him. And I was like, okay, but why? Like, I was like leaned in, I was like, what else did I do? Hold on.
I can answer that because you're freaking hard to follow. I've followed you a few times. You're hard to follow.
I did actually lose a couple shows because of that. They were just kind of like, you were the feature, right? Like, you weren't supposed to do headliner material. I was like, hey, man, I had some whiskey in me, and I had some jokes, so I went with it. And the headliner went up, and, he kind of, actually, I've told you the story, and remain nameless because I'm not trying to
start beef,
lose other fucking shows, Jesus Christ. But like, so I was the feature. The host went up, did his thing. I went up. I did 20. Hi, plane.
Hey, we're in the flight path.
Cool.
Hey.
Dude, I've always wondered, like, period piece movies, like, that's got to be one of the most annoying things
absolutely.
in the world.
Right.
All right, cut.
Absolutely.
We're gonna wait around. That guy's taking his time. Fuck.
Actually, what was funny was on Res Dogs, we had a plane go over while we were filming a scene, and the actor was so amazing. They continued their line, got to the end of it, and started that line over as if nothing had happened. I mean, did not miss a beat, so the editor could just clip, and done.
Can I ask you how many times in a conversation you bring up that you were on Res Dogs? Or...
I generally don't bring it up that much.
Just every
Other people do.
5-6 minutes.
But
I'm looking at him because he's just kind of like, it comes up. That's it. No. So the headliner comes up, does his thing. I get up there. I only had 20 minutes, but in that 20 minutes, it was like one of those sets where every joke landed and any crowd work landed, the whole nine. By the time I was done, I was like, hey, my name is Terrell Norton. You guys have a great night. And like half the crowd stood up and was giving me a standing ovation. At that point, they announced the headliner, and 8 people stood up and left.
Oh no!
And I leaned over to the host and I go, "Wow, he walked people without telling a joke. That's great." And he looks back and he goes, "You fucked up, right?" And I was like, "Did I though?"
That's too funny, and I wholeheartedly believe it because I've seen you work, and
I have good days and bad. I tend to focus on the bad days. That way I keep that mindset of keep going.
Right.
Because there's so many comedians you'll talk to and they're just kind of like, you'll get done with the show. And they did well, don't get me wrong, but then they kind of get out of there and they're just kind of like smoking a cigarette and going, so when's my special? You know what I mean? Like one of those is like, you've been doing this for 6 months.
Dude,
like,
how many times have you run into a comedian that after every set they do, no matter how good or how bad, they walk outside and talk about how they killed? I'm like, if you have to talk about how you killed, then guess what? You didn't kill.
Yeah.
I have been that guy, but when I first started. But I think that's the biggest difference for a lot of comedians and when I was coming up. Because I think, like, I would call it my class, my year of coming up. Like,
education.
You got, like, Sandra Slade, you've got, like fantastic comedians.
Yes.
And we all had the same mentality, it was like, if we were of that mindset, we would come off of those shows and some other comedian would just kind of be like, no, stop it, keep working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one of those. And I think that's why we are the way that we are as far as like when it comes to like us doing shows, us writing material or anything, is that it's like there's that mentality of just kind of like, no, you're not great. You're not fan-fucking-tastic. You're a comedian.
Yeah.
And at any point, people can look at you and go, no, I'm good.
Well,
I've heard his shitty material. I'm good.
We've talked about that in the music context.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You almost never feel like, or you should almost never feel like that was perfect.
No.
Because if you ever feel that way, that means you've quit being aspirational, and your goals are no longer in front of you.
Yeah.
You've now, as far as your mind is concerned, reached them. Which
Yeah,
means
so why
now,
keep working?
now you're going to get lazy and you're going to get bitter about everything that doesn't happen for you because you think I'm there.
Yeah, complacency breeds contempt and just, like I say, laziness, and you don't...
Can confirm. There for a bit I thought, like, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. And then new comics would come in that I'm like, you're new. Like, I would just be of that mindset. But the whole time I couldn't figure out why I was so upset about trying to do comedy and things like that. And I was like, oh, right, it's because I haven't written anything new in a while. And it was kind of like, you have to have that mindset, whether it's comedy, whether it's music, whether it's fucking a job you've had for 30 fucking years. It's like someday you're going to sit there and think like, am I good? And your brain has to have that mindset of like, no, dickhead, fucking keep going.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Always be better.
You always have another gear. There's always another pinnacle to reach. You're never done. If you start looking at it that way, you may as well just hang it up and quit.
Yeah, what's the point after that?
Right. One of the things I've always appreciated about your comedy, I've gotten to see quite
All
a
the
bit
dick jokes?
over the years. The dick jokes, always. Dick and weed jokes is awesome. You're not typecast at all.
When you can do dick jokes, that's great. When you can do weed jokes, that's great. When you can do dick and weed jokes, you've made it.
Oh, that is the pinnacle. And you can stop creating.
Yeah, it's just kind of like,
hang it up.
Listen, I'm not doing the show. Just tell them I tried. That's it.
Well, like I said, what I always appreciated about your comedy is you at least on stage, you appear to be fearless. You go up and you just own it, and then you deliver it in such a convincing way that you exude that confidence that a lot of people I don't think can get to.
Oh, it's a mask. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm shitting myself. It's fine.
I was gonna say I get on stage with a guitar in front of me. As long as I do that, I'm fine.
Right.
If I go up without a guitar, so getting up in front of a microphone and trying to make people laugh is foreign to me.
You want to know my trick? I'll show you my trick.
Yeah.
That's my trick. Hey! That's my trick. Love it. It's an age-old tradition.
That it is.
No, but like I remember the reason I do that is because I remember I was opening for this comic, and he was a touring comic like through the country. And he kind of saw me kind of doing my leg was kind of doing the thing and all that. And he goes, "You nervous?" I said, "A little bit. That's, you're you." And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, "What's the worst going to happen?" I said, "I could bomb." And he goes, "Brother, I could bomb." And he goes, "But the best part is they paid for a show.
Yeah.
You give them a show, even if you bomb, pretty good show. Still pretty good."
Yeah.
And from there, it was just kind of like, I remember back in the day, there was the New Bloods shows that would happen. And I remember it was before that. So when I showed up to that show, I had that mindset. I was like, that's not worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is like I get shot on stage or something. Like and that's not happening. So we're good. And, my ex-wife doesn't live here. So
there's little chance of that happening.
Little. And she was tiny. So big rifle, not suiting her. That's it. But I remember I showed up to this New Blood show, and I remember I looked around, and all the other comics were like, they had notebooks, and they were pacing, and they're like rehearsing and all that. The first thing I did was I showed up. I knew the bartender, so I walked over and go, "What's up, Steve?" Like fucking high-fived him. We did some shots. We're having a good old time. We're laughing. We're the loudest people in that venue at the time because, of course, it's the show, so you show up early to make sure that you're there and all that. One of the comics came up, and she, I'll tell you her name afterwards, but you'll laugh about who this is, because she just walks up and goes, "Do you even get fucking nervous anymore?" And then walked off and was still doing her notes and all that. I go, "Not really." I didn't win that one, but it was fun.
Comedy competitions are a joke anyway. I hate comedy competitions just like I hate music competitions.
I will say I did enjoy the one we were both recently on because it didn't feel like a comedy competition.
It didn't, and part of the reason it didn't is because that competition managed to get out the best comedians that were in Tulsa.
Well, because he did it right, then he asked the people in Tulsa, being like, "Hey, who would you recommend if I were to be doing this?"
Yes.
And so, I'm looking at the lineup. There was 3 shows to start. So there's a shitload, because you forget sometimes how many funny fucking comics there are in Tulsa.
Right.
But then it's like, you get to the end of the list, and you go, so can I go to all 3 shows? Or where are we at on that? But It was a lot of fun, man. It was fantastic. Like, what was it? Sean Trainer, right?
Yes. Sean Trainer does funniest comic in Name the City.
In America. Like,
yeah. And he puts on a great competition. It was probably that finals show was probably a true best of Tulsa.
True Blue. And that
show.
like that was also kind of the part too that it was like it was truly like actually ranked rather than like we've been on those shows that you're like we were at one and we won't have to say where because I think there's only one place to do comedy in this city, but like we both showed up out of town, us and another comic, Zach Amon. We went to this comedy competition and by the end of it we were all just kind of like one of us had to have won. Like we fucking killed it. The whole audience loved us and they announced the winner and all you hear from the back is who?
He was at that show.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, he drove me to that show.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I remember now.
Yeah, because
I just remember that silence after they announced.
I was honestly expecting you and I to come in 1 and 2.
I do remember that.
Immediately, I was just kind of like, we're good. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I heard the audience reaction. I know what I heard.
Yeah.
I know what I heard when you were on stage.
I fist bumped a 70-year-old woman from the stage, and it got more of a laugh than some of the other comics, like full set. And I was just kind of like, we got this.
Yeah,
we got this. I hit the mic. I hope no one heard
you're good.
You may have heard a thump, but it'll be fine. The one I always go to is there used to be a competition here in Tulsa annually, and every year for the first several years I did it, I lost to what is arguably the worst comic in Tulsa. I'm not going to name names.
I'm right here.
Not going to name names. Not going to name names. But no,
I will point fingers.
But
listen, it's been fun. Thank you.
It's one of those when you talk about the Tulsa comedy scene and people are like, who have been the really bad comics to come around?
I love that.
There are
question.
a couple of names that come up
It's my favorite.
Naturally, and I lost to this person 2 years in a row on one of the early rounds of the competition. And the thing is, that's why
Normally I have the other issue is it's like it's just down here. That's it. No, that was why I really enjoyed that one. Was because it was just kind of like not only were those particular comedians just not involved, but you had another round of people that were just kind of like when they came in, they already were just kind of like, I'm probably not going to win this, but I'm going to do my due diligence. And that to me is like that professionalism of just kind of like, listen, I'm probably not going to win, but I did agree.
This is one of the rare competitions I've ever done where I looked at the slate of people that won each round and I went, yeah, I can see that.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I got a text because it was funny because you show up and they have this order. No comic in the history of anything ever on a competition wants to go first.
Right.
So I was second, and I looked at the list and I go, what? Like, you're second. And I go, he's not going to show up. I guarantee it. I have the worst luck in the world. That guy's not going to. Who the fuck did not show up for their spot? That guy. So I was first, and I still advanced.
Yeah.
So I got a text. It was from Hilton Price.
Okay.
And he was just kind of like, hey, just so you know, it's not exactly easy to move on in a comedy competition if you're first. And I was like, I don't have to win after this. I did something.
There you go.
I mean? Like, I'm good.
There you go. Absolutely. So I know you've done Altercation Fest. What other big festivals or things have you done?
I did Blue Whale, obviously, which to a lot of people isn't a big deal or whatever. But to me, it's every year.
It's
kind of
a huge deal.
I love doing it. Like,
yeah.
I did make a joke that apparently rubbed some people the wrong way, though, because they put me on the Oklahoma again.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently I made the joke of like, well, another year at the kids' table.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just funny. That's what I was supposed to do, a comic. But apparently, like, I got some messages like, you might want to take that down. Like, I posted it, so they were just kind of like, you might want to take that down. You pissed off a couple people. And I go, name them.
Yeah.
Like, I will call them. Oh, they don't have my number? Then they don't get to be pissed off. Like,
right.
But Altercation Fest was the big one. I opened for Brian Posehn
That's
when
awesome.
I did that one.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. If you're a comic, I highly recommend applying at bare minimum because JT Haberset, the guy that puts it on, fan-fucking-tastic comedian.
He
and then
is.
not only that, like, he knows what the festival is about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get on this year, but, like, it wasn't one of those, like, I got no notice and I was kind of like, that guy's a dick. It was
Right.
more like I got it and I go, I got to try harder. Like, my video was shit. I know it was. Like,
Yeah.
it was one of those mindsets, and that's kind of what he brings
Yeah.
to that festival. It's not one of those, like, oh, well, if I like you,
Yeah.
I'll
Right.
bring you
You're
on.
my
It's
buddy.
not-
I'm gonna put you on it.
yeah, it's like if you're sending him the same video every year, he's gonna catch on and be like, "Yeah, so do you have new shit or?" But like he brings out absolute fucking just crowd wreckers, man. Like
Yeah.
Eddie Pepitone, Brian Posehn was the year that I was on, and it was fucking phenomenal. And that year I got to meet like some other heroes from music, even Black Dahlia, the lead singer of the Dwarves, one of my
Okay.
favorite punk bands. I got to meet him, and he's as much of an asshole as I always thought. Oh, it was so great. And he's sitting there insulting other like music heroes of mine, and I was like, Blag. Oh, Blag. I got to meet Lizard Man, the guy that does.
Oh, yeah,
his
yeah.
whole bit. He was on tour
Tattooed
with
guy?
Slayer for a long time.
Uh-huh.
So I got to hear stories about being on tour with Slayer and shit like that. And the whole time I was sitting there just being like, can you listen to my comedy set and tell me I'm awesome? That'd be great. There was just like a lot going on at that festival. And the whole time, JT, who was the guy putting it on, is the guy walking through, knows everybody by name.
Yeah.
Comes up, puts a hand on your shoulder, sometimes just being like, you good? Like,
Yeah.
all right, so you're doing 15, the whole 9, all that, and he's kind of like expressing to you like, hey, thank you for doing this shit. Fucking fantastic guy. I really need to message him again, but he's,
Very cool.
yeah, good people.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
as far as
JT
like
is good people.
other ones that I've done, honestly, when it comes to festivals, not very many. Just
Yeah.
because I'm the guy that I'm just kind of like, it's where? I don't want to go up there. Like that's yeah. But this next year, I am planning a lot of because from that competition that we did, they said, hey, we're gonna give you a 5-minute video from your first set. And honestly, I think that first set that I did was one of my best in a while.
Yeah.
And they got to have it on camera, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put some money aside. I'm gonna do a lot of the. What you don't know, you amateur fucking comedians, is that this shit costs money.
That's
to
right.
try and even apply.
Yeah.
But I'll try harder on festivals and all that. But as far as like opening for people, yeah, Brian Posehn is the big one. Dan Fritchie had a casino show for a while, and I opened for Preacher Lawson from America's Got Talent.
that's awesome.
Very funny comic.
Yeah. Preacher's amazingly
Blue
funny.
Whale comedy series. I opened for Ismo.
Okay.
And man, did I fuck that one up.
Oh, did you?
Man, they didn't actually tell me who I was opening for. They just told me, hey, come do the show. It was almost last minute. And I showed up, and it was so last minute that I was at the bar when I got the text.
Oh.
Like, hey,
Oh, wow.
you're up.
Shocker.
Yeah, yeah.
You were at a
Have you
bar?
heard of bars? They're this fun thing. But like, so I showed up, and I was already a little twisted, if you will, and at the time I was still doing drugs too, and so I was feeling some things. But I mean, what we're talking about with professionalism, I still showed up, and it was kind of like, I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Right.
I'm gonna try my hardest. Like I even asked a bartender for like an ice water and where the bathroom is, just kind of like on my face.
Yeah.
Ice water to try and like counteract a few things. But by the end of it, yeah, even Peter Bedgood was like, you were a little fucked up, bud. I was like...
So what do you think of this cigar so far? How about you? You got the shorty over there.
I love this one. The hyena is spectacular. It's been really good. It smokes slightly sweet, naturally so, not artificially sweetened. A lot of woody notes. Not like the cedar or the high aroma notes, but more like walnut, heavy pecan kind of notes in it.
Very cool. What about you, Terrell?
There's smoke in my mouth.
There's
That's
your mouth. Nice.
I mean, like, the funny part is that, like, if you give me a dish to taste, to cook, or anything like that, I'll tell you, bar none, this has got this, that, and this thing. And then with these, I'm just kind of like, it is a cigar, sir.
Yeah.
It is. That is definitely what's happening here. But this is really easy to smoke, especially for a guy like me that's kind of, oh. Do you guys enjoy the volume of my dick? That's all right. No, it's very easy to smoke though. If that's what I'm going for.
Well, those I really like because they seem to almost change flavors a couple of times.
This one
through the
has a
smoke.
little bit, but you're talking about like the walnut and all that, and I'm just kind of like, this is different.
Oh, it's all BS.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
okay.
just like wine tasters. It's all BS.
Oh my God, sommeliers are so full of shit. There's your comments. There you go. You're gonna have like 18 comments. Like, okay, don't have him on again.
But like even the hashtag sommelier in there, so we get all these sommeliers to tag us.
And they're like, oh, is this the wine? This piece of shit.
Lured them in.
And even worse is I'm drinking a Modelo. So there's like, you peasant. That's it.
How about your
beer
delay?
drinker?
This is a great cigar. I know this is from their signature line that I assume they have made for them by somebody. But one of the cigar classes that we sat through, they talked about the difference between like American preferences in cigars and how we tend to like medium to full and full-bodied cigars more than we do like the lighter stuff.
Okay.
And surprisingly, for this being something from Germany, or made for Germany, I should say, probably not from there. I'm sure it's. I wish I could have done more research on it. I'm sure it's Nicaraguan or Dominican, because it's got those flavors. That's what I'm picking up in it. But for something that's being made for a German cigar shop, man, it's got a lot of like spice, like black and white pepper.
Oh, really?
And stuff about it. I really like it. It's not overly spicy. It's really a medium to full.
Yeah.
But man, it hits all those notes. It's very, very similar to the Superfly from Oscar.
Okay.
So
Which is
really,
a great smoke.
Really enjoy it.
Well, that's very cool. Producer Kevin brought several of those delays back, and one of them that he brought, best way I can describe it is a double barrel cigar.
Oh, geez.
Because it is wider than it is long almost. It's
Someone's reading my diary.
It's almost like they took two cigars, laid them side by side, and then wrapped them together.
Jesus.
Because it's that wide.
Yeah.
It's really.
I remember
looking.
even as a kid seeing, this was like cartoons or kids movies or whatever. They've got that fucking long cigar doing this thing, and I remember
always the
asking,
rich guy or the bad guy.
Yeah, it's the bad guy.
Yeah,
like,
always, yeah.
And you're always just kind of like I remember asking my parents, kind of like, what is going on there? Because my mom smoked cigarettes, so I knew what those were.
Right.
And I was like, hey mom, that guy's smoking like 18 fucking cigarettes. So have you thought about smoking those? And she was like, honey, that's a cigar. And I go, I don't like them. Because it was always the bad guy. It was always like the. And I was like, that guy's a piece of shit. But then I grow up and. I won't say piece of shit, but I get it. That's it.
I love cigars. I love the cigar style. I love the. There's an image to it that I even like.
Well, I remember I had to do a class at one point in the military, and I was talking about drinking and things like that. And I remember they go, "Do you smoke?" And I had just quit smoking cigarettes, but I had started to smoke cigars.
Uh-huh.
And so I wrote cigars, and the girl just looks at the guy who's running the class and goes, "So what about cigars?" He goes, "Cigars are just for self-important people," and went back to what he was doing. I was like, it's 9 a.m. Like, why are you so mad?
Right.
Like,
I'm being attacked right off the bat.
like, all right, I'll just go fuck myself, even before I'm Terrell. Fuck.
Well, do you remember what your first cigar was?
Listen. The other thing I smoke affects memory, and then I also drink as often as I don't feel like an alcoholic, and so every once in a while I forget things. I will tell you this much: it was like, if this is after I've smoked a little bit of it, right? The one that I started with was about yay long, like it was a little short guy, but probably as fat. And the reason that he gave it to me was because he goes, "This is a super easy smoke, like." And of course he was like, "Don't inhale, dumb shit, don't do it." But by the time I got to about midway, I was like, I'm good. I think I'm gonna call it there.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, "Yeah, that sounds about right. You don't really do this very often." But then after a while, he was giving me fucking honking goddamn cigars, being like, "Go for it" and all that, because I was getting out anyway. So I was like, "Fuck it, my lungs don't serve a purpose anymore except breathing." Because I used to have to run miles and miles. So.
Right. Well, I had an argument with a doctor one time when I had gone to the ER, and
Because you know better.
Well, of course I did. I'm an attorney. I know better than anybody about anything.
All I'm hearing is you'll argue with anybody. That's
But he went through the typical questions, and he goes, "Are you a smoker?" And I'm like, "Not cigarettes."
right.
I said, and unlike most people who say not cigarettes, I was not talking about weed. I was like, I smoke cigars. And he asked how many and how often, and I answered fairly honestly. And he goes, okay, so you're a heavy smoker. And I'm like, no, do not put that on my record, because that is not accurate, because smoking cigars is so different from smoking cigarettes.
Right.
If you put that I'm a heavy smoker, it's going to, anybody who reads that is going to assume that I'm a
Like
2-3
pack a
pack a
day,
guy
yeah,
a
like
day.
But they do, to
that's
make you
not
feel
who I
better, they
am.
do the same thing with drinking.
I'm sure.
They'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
you're a heavy drinker. I go, don't fucking put that on. They're gonna think I'm like, I polished off like some whiskey before I got to my appointment at 9 a.m, you know, shit
No.
like that.
Yeah.
Because like, what's funny is they do what they call the alcoholics test,
Right.
which I failed that a couple times.
Well,
But-
did you fail or did you pass? That's the.
Well, when you go to jail,
You passed.
yeah. No, I remember though, I went to the doctor and they were just kind of like, you know, they have to do on the thing. It was like, do you drink? I said, yeah. And so the doctor comes in and he goes, so are you a heavy drinker? And I go, I don't think so. I like to drink, but I'm not a heavy drinker, because in my mind, I hear heavy drinker and I think of the guys that we all know that are just kind of like, man, my hand's shaking. I got to get like at least like a tall boy down before it'll stop moving and shit like that.
Right.
So I was like, no, I'm not a heavy drinker. And he goes, well, let me do the alcoholics test. And I go, shit. I was like,
I didn't study.
I didn't know they made a test for me. Let's go. But he goes, the first question he asked was, after a long day of work and you have alcohol at home, do you look forward to the alcohol you have at home? And I go, yeah, I bought it.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's a bad sign. I go, how the fuck do you figure that's a bad sign?
Yeah.
Like, I
Why
can
would you have
afford
it if you weren't
alcohol,
looking
first
forward
of
to
all.
it?
Like,
Yeah.
it's at home, and I went to work without it.
Right.
Also. But then it was like, you know, one of those, how many do you have in a night? And at the time, I think I was up to about 8 or 9, like, you know, nice whiskeys or,
Sure.
you know, beers or whatever. And he goes, woof. And like goes in again. And I go, dude, you didn't ask me about my tolerance. You didn't ask
Right.
me, like, how do I feel? And then I stop or anything like that.
Right.
And so I was just kind of like, at the end of it, he goes, hate to say, you might be an alcoholic. And I go, okay, Mom, calm down. Like, that's not how this works. Because, like, also, yeah, I have always had kind of a particularly high tolerance. Now, granted, for a long time, I went above and beyond.
Right.
I was just like, all right, well, I'm going to kill, you know, oh, I'm getting a buzz off of 8. Well, then I'm doing 20 of them. I don't know.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, that's what your 20s are for.
Yeah. Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
I always tell people I am a heavy drinker just because I'm a heavy guy. And so when I drink, it does not have as much of an effect on me because I'm a heavier guy. So my argument is I do not consider myself having a problem with alcohol unless I'm drinking when I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Yes.
It's the halt. If I'm hungry and I'm drinking instead of eating, that
That would
may
be
be
a
a sign of a problem.
Yeah.
My
Angry?
4 are actually, I like to drink. That's really, that's where I'm at. If it's a day off, I mean, but also, like, that's another thing they don't consider, you know what I mean? It's like, if I have a day off, and it's like, I wake up, and I'm kind of like, you know what? Let's get started, you know what I mean? Let's just have it, because then I'll end my day earlier than before, you know what? I'm just kind of like, cool, let's do it that way. And the funniest part was I was telling a friend of mine, he's going through med school, and I go, yeah, we'll get started earlier, and then we'll go to bed earlier. And he goes, Terrell, you might want to take that alcoholic test again. And I was like, oh, fuck off.
Well, that whole, oh, it's afternoon, I can have a drink. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, no, we're not getting into that discussion because
Well, and
if
also,
I have
yeah.
nothing to do, I have no problem with waking up and having a beverage.
Also, though, if you are of the mindset that I really want to drink, but I have to wait until this time,
You have more of a problem than I
alcoholic
do.
behavior, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
if I wake up and I'm like, I feel like brunch
Yeah.
would be great, and I'm gonna go have maybe a beer or two, maybe a man-mosa, where they do the beer and orange juice, or fuck it, even if I want to get a whiskey, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, hey, I want 4 shots of whiskey and do it down the hatch. It's more like, hey, can I get a whiskey rocks, and you sip on it or whatever.
Yep.
But goddamn it, this is America, and we all work our asses off all the time. If it's my day off and I decide that's how I'm going to spend it, God damn it, that's how I'm going to fucking spend it.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they treat us like we're those old Wild West movies where the guy just grabs the bottle, bites the cork off, and spits it across the room, and you're just chugging out of it the whole day.
I think the weirdest part about those movies, you ever notice that it's like, he'll be like, all right, I want some whiskey, I want a room, I want a lady of the night, I want a shower, and he throws down one heavy coin, and you're like, what's the exchange rate on this? Like, what is that? Where was he going to stop you at? It's like, all right, but this one, not as heavy. So no lady of the night. You can take a shower. Like, have fun. Like at a truck stop in fucking Missouri or something, you know? I love the idea of just walking and throwing a quarter. And being like, I'll be over here.
Yeah. This is all the shit I want. And you're going to take this for it.
Speaking of drinking, what are you drinking tonight, Kev?
So this was a nice surprise, because we were doing this podcast over at our producer Kevin's house.
Yes, we are.
And when we got here, he said, hey, the bar's open in there. Just
man, I hope that's Kevin. Otherwise, we broke into somewhere.
Right.
I am fine with it.
Cops are on the way, don't worry.
Yeah. I look the way I do. Your neighbors have been called. Like, that's...
But I walked in and I was checking out all the different bottles he had, and he happens to have a bottle that I had about 2, maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
It's a barrel pick from Owasso Liquor of Woodford Double Oak.
Ooh.
But this particular barrel they picked, man, that bottle I had, we got it down in one afternoon. So I would fail the alcoholics test.
Yeah, I was going to say, your doctor has some things to say to you.
But I looked and he had it, and man, I poured it. It tastes exactly like the bottle I had.
You know, for being
amazing.
A non-whiskey drinker, for being almost a strictly beer drinker, he has an amazing bar in there.
He really does.
He really does.
He is.
Yes.
The guy with that many bottles.
Yes.
Is a beer drinker.
He's a beer drinker.
Fucking liar.
Yeah, the only bottle in there that he drinks is the Oil Fire.
That's his favorite.
You and I have a discussion to have after this podcast, sir. You fucking liar. You can lie to everyone else. You ain't lying to me. I walked in there and he goes, all right, so, beer's in this fridge, and then walked a little further, and then he just shows me, he goes, all right, so this is the collection. You can have whatever you want. Dude, I've worked at bars that had less liquor in their collection. And I was just he walked off, and I'm glad I saved it till after he walked off, because then he did, and I went, holy shit. I was like a kid in a candy store.
I want some of this, and some of this, and some of this.
So I was, because we talked, I like drinking, but I was drinking Buffalo Trace, because that's just...
Good choice.
It's just a solid everyday if you wanted to. And to me, it's like, that one in particular is one of those ones that it's like, if you were to ask someone, they've had like 4 or 5, they're starting to feel it. And you're kind of like, what are you drinking? Oh, Buffalo Trace. You're like, not a drunk. He's not a drunk. He's a nice fella. He's just...
Yeah, he's not drinking Evan Williams Black Label or something. He's...
He used to.
Yeah. I've drank my share.
There are definitely times that there were liquors that, someone will ask for a shot of it or something like that. I gotta pour it as soon as it hits my nostrils. It's like, here's your, I'm fine. Here you go.
It's funny because I make fun of the Evan Williams, but one of my absolute favorite whiskeys is the Evan Williams White Label Bottled in Mon.
I was gonna say they
like
have
$14. It's amazing.
That's why I respect that company so much, is that they're kind of like, hey, we understand not everyone's up here, not everyone's down here. So if we do the collective, there you go. That's our company. Yeah. Because companies that are, you were talking about Basil Hayden's earlier, what have you. Basil Hayden's is for you're doing okay in life. You can't exactly like, hey, let's go ahead and collect all our quarters. We're gonna go get some Basil Hayden's.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. But it was, but like Evan Williams, you can do the Black Label or something like that, and you can get by.
Oh yeah. It's like there's another one, Old Granddad.
Old Granddad.
Typical, pretty cheap, run-of-the-mill.
Pretty cheap, but then
whiskey.
like you realize,
But then
wait, they have more.
They have that 114
Yep.
that they make that is
Really
absolutely
good.
amazing.
It's solid.
And it's funny because I've done some whiskey tastings with people, and I'll always sneak that one in, and I'll be like, oh, these are all very high-end bourbons, and
Right.
you're gonna drink this, and that one usually wins hands down against bottles that are $80 or $100.
Well, because there is a precedence as well when it comes to higher end things, whether you're talking about cigars, whiskey, whatever. There are times that you'll taste one that they're like, this is one of the best ones there is, and you're like, are we gonna tell them that this tastes just like the other shit that I bought at the liquor store? Like, this is whiskey, homie.
Yeah.
Like, this is not.
I have had that reaction on so many cigars. I have to watch my facial expression. If somebody gifts me a really expensive cigar and I light it up, I have to watch my facial expressions, because half the time I'll light it up and I'll be like, really?
It's how much?
Yeah.
I got handed back in the day. I thought, I'll become a mixologist, dumb
Yeah.
shit like that. Fuck you, mixologist. That is not the opinion of this podcast. It's just mine. But like, I remember I was just, kind of coming up in terms of like my tastes and things like that, and learning, this is expensive, this isn't, and how to differentiate. And I remember they poured me like probably one of these, just kind of a solid rock right in the middle. Just sitting there sipping it, and the whole time they're all talking about, these notes that I'm getting and shit like that. And the whole time I'm like, and I'm like nodding. And someone goes, what do you think, Terrell? I was like, this tastes like Jameson, dude. Like this tastes like the $40 bottle that I've got at the house right now. And they were not pleased with my opinion. And so, I was not invited back to that class.
$40, you buy the big bottle of Jameson.
Oh, it was a big one, yeah. I don't need more because now I've got a 7-year-old running around, and she's very curious.
Oh, yeah.
So she's one of those people that, like, I'll kind of walk in, and she's just kind of like, hey, so I started drinking this. I'm like, that's an energy drink.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah. Like,
It's amazing.
so, like, we've started to put things, like, higher. Like, like. But, I mean, to me, though, it's just kind of like, in my mind, okay, things are expensive. I get that part. And I get that it's got subtle notes and things like that. I understand that. But at the same time, if you're going to hand me like a rocks glass, and be like, this is $112 of whiskey, and I taste it, I should seriously just be like relaxed as hell and be like, this is delightful. Not drink it and go, so that's rough. Why is that rough? Like,
Yeah, I had an experience in Houston one time. I used to work for different companies and have to travel around. We always did these big, expensive dinners, get taken out and stuff. And this one guy we were out with, when I said, I'm going to order us all this scotch, and it's a $5,000 bottle of scotch. It's made back in the 50s. It's this, it's that.
yeah.
It was all I could do to choke it down. It was so bad.
Oh.
But I have since revisited that many years later, much more experienced drinking whiskey later, and now I know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that it wasn't my thing at the time.
Oh, I've given it
And-
another shot.
Yeah,
They were just kind of like, oh, this is the particular whiskey. And around COVID time, when we all had
Oh,
many, I remember I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll go ahead and give that a shot or whatever. And I bought like a smaller bottle because they had the big ones that were in like the gift wrapped and all
Right.
that. And then he goes, but if you don't want that, we have smaller bottles out of that, which is weird to me. I was like, well, give me one of the smaller ones. I got it home. I had bought like a silicone mold for like some rocks and all that because COVID, and threw that in the glass and started drinking. And I go, this tastes exactly the fucking same as I said. This is cheap whiskey. Y'all got fucking zooted on this
You got
shit. This is
duped.
dumb.
You got duped. Well, it's funny you talk about the fancy ice, the fancy big rocks.
Yeah.
I know somebody who got a new refrigerator, and it makes the fancy ball ice.
Yeah, I
In
have.
fact, the fancy ball ice we're drinking tonight came from that refrigerator.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That
pretty
is-
cool. It makes like I think
Is it your
6,
fridge?
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
6 balls a day is all it'll make, because it takes a while for those.
I
to
can
set
make more
up,
than that.
right? But it is kind of cool.
No, you can't. You had a daughter.
Yeah. She came from somewhere, friends. That's it.
Your current score is 0 ball, sir.
Listen, she goes, hey, what do you want to name her? And apparently Whoopsie Daisy is not a cool name. But yeah, I just remember though, it was just kind of, going through, and like that's the part they don't tell you about, is it's like, don't try and be the guy that you're trying to get the most expensive this, the most expensive that. Just go with your tastes. And so like Redbreast 12-year whiskey is one of my all-time favorites. And a buddy of mine goes, that's not, the best whiskey. And I go, and I'm not the best dude. So here we are, like we're partying, we're having a good time. I'm fucking 35. I got to start getting a little nicer, I guess, he said while reaching for his Modelo.
Right.
Well, I lit up the second cigar, so I have to tell you about it. This is called a One Shot, One Kill. I'm not sure who makes it. That's really all I know about it, is that it's one shot, one kill.
I like that they were like, we're not going to put any kind of warnings on the package or anything anymore. We're just going to name it. You know what I mean? This is one shot, one kill. Good luck.
Yeah. I may be looking for another podcast partner. I mean, just saying, auditions may be open soon.
No. You'll have plenty of time, because he'll just be just skin and bones at one point going, this is still great.
But the shape is interesting because it's shaped almost like a giant blunt. It's completely tapered and shaggy.
Blunt?
Maybe
Am I saying it right?
Have you not heard of these? They're a blunt.
A marijuana cigarette?
Exactly. Yeah, but it's completely tapered, and it had a shaggy foot, which I love shaggy foot cigars.
What does that mean?
The wrapper that they use on the outside, if they do not wrap all the way to the end, then that binder and filler are a little looser.
Oh, okay.
They're exposed at the end.
It's exposed, and so it's kind of shaggy.
I would go see a band called Shaggy Foot.
I
would see them in a heartbeat. It would be...
I think the same thing. I think it's a great band name.
You know they have weed in the audience. Is all I'm saying. It's like, Shaggy Foot. Oh, I'm getting high. Hold on,
they'll have weed or Scooby snacks.
Let me mix.
The weed or Scooby snacks.
This could be an interesting test.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
New things happen all the time on here.
Suddenly, the Sessions becomes a flavored cigar.
You guys got the blue raspberry? Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That was the one time. God damn.
Well,
I just forgot we were on a podcast for a second. I was just really relaxed, just
that's
hanging
the
out.
point of this podcast.
Yeah.
That's the point of this podcast. We always said we wanted to do a podcast about what it's like just sitting around with folks smoking cigars, because those conversations are always fun and interesting, and you wander into interesting areas.
That level of relaxation that someone will reach, that it's just kind of like, hey, do you want to hear a story I've never told?
There you go.
That's like, yeah.
Well, a buddy of mine and I used to joke forever that all you needed to solve the world's problems was 4 guys with cigars and whiskey, and that table could solve the world's problems.
I will go ahead and tell you, we've been doing that. They're old white guys now, and let's revamp it. Now it's 4 guys, some whiskey, and a blunt. We'll solve everybody's problems. We won't remember how we solved them, so we'll record it. But
Blount? Did you say?
One of the things we've run into is we go to a lot of cigar bars around the country, and when we're out, whether he's doing comedy or we're doing music or just traveling in general. And what cracks me up is I can go into a cigar bar, sit down with guys I don't know, and find out as we're sitting there talking that we all come from different walks of life.
Yep.
We all have different belief systems, whether it be politics or religion or whatever. And we can sit there and have just honest conversations without getting angry at each other and screaming and yelling.
I mean, an actual discussion, not an argument.
Exactly. And you just end up having a real good discussion, and you, even if you don't maybe necessarily agree with what that person's saying, all of a sudden you have a new insight as to how they're thinking, and you're going, you know what, I can't get behind what you're saying, but I can respect you as a man for believing the way you do.
At least, and also, like, you brought it to that forefront of just kind of like, listen, this is what I believe. Yeah. Like one of those, whereas like sometimes you get those guys that are just kind of like, let me tell you what's wrong with it. And it's like, no, we're having a good time, shut up.
Yeah.
But like that's why I enjoy bars as much as I do. Like some people will think it's all about just having some drinks and all that shit, but in reality, it's the same thing. If you're out of town, you're doing a show, you're having a good time, whatever, and then it's just kind of like, you know what? Let's go. We're gonna go over here. I just Googled bar.
Right.
But I love dive bars. That's my.
They are so much fun.
I love them so much, and it's because of that right there. It's not because like I like cheap beer, which do I? But I also just enjoy that it's like you'll run into somebody that it's just kind of like you might hear a story you never thought you were going to hear in your life. You might run into a guy that's like he knows more than he looks like or whatever.
Right.
But like you're not going to get that at some sports bar out in the south fucking whatever city.
My neighborhood.
Yeah.
South Tulsa.
It's fine. No one's perfect, Kevin. It's fine.
You're judging us. Let's see how it is. It's okay.
It's fine. We call you Southeast.
Yeah. I've not got a nosebleed coming this far north. It's okay.
Well, and the good thing about dive bars is most of the time the regulars are regulars, and they all know everybody. So when you walk in as not a regular, they speak to you because they know you're not a regular, and you get to have that interaction. Whereas if you go to a sports bar,
who the fuck are you?
Who knows who they are?
And it's like
sometimes
Terrell?
you don't speak to anybody at all.
What team are you cheering for?
Right.
And
but like
so,
with dive bars too, I love the idea of like if I'm walking up to a guy and I'm about to say hi, I've had a regular of that dive bar come up, put his hand on my chest, go, no, not that guy. Like, what? Why? He goes, dude, he's gonna tell you how the moon isn't real and it's actually a jail for alien employees and things like that. I go, you fucking what now? I was like, does he know the sun's up? Is that?
Well, it is on the other side of the flat disc.
You have to go across the flat Earth. You get to a corner and it's a round and it's right there. It's fun.
I think
they call it the over-under.
Dive bars are that way because they're all sick of talking to each other, so they're like, ooh, a new guy.
Man,
I think that is.
It'll be quiet as hell when you walk in and you think it's because of you. They're just like, new one. Did you just move here? No, all right.
But yeah, that's what I love about cigar bars. Is they're the same way. You walk in, you sit down. Somebody's going to strike up a conversation with you.
Well, you kind of have to. Like, dive bars and cigar bars have kind of that same rhetoric of, I'm here. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I'm not just here just to kill some time. I'm here because this is where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take me at least this long to leave again.
Yeah.
Whether it's I'm here for a few rounds at a dive bar or I'm here for a good cigar at the cigar bar or whatever. It's just kind of one of those, like, why would I just sit here in my own time? I know what I think about shit. Like, why would I just sit here by myself? Fucking, hey, that guy looks interesting.
Yeah.
Why not? Now, granted, you're rolling the dice every time.
Sure.
But still.
But that's half the fun.
Oh, yeah.
Half the fun is rolling the dice.
Fuck it. I was sitting there, I was talking to this dude who's at a dive bar out in, I want to say, like, Kansas City, somewhere around there. I remember talking to someone, and they go, I want a dive bar. Before you answer, though, I don't want a bar that looks like a dive bar but charges me a lot of money for the aesthetic. Yeah. I would like a real dive bar. Yeah. Like, where does your grandpa go if he's in
not
town?
a gentrified dive bar.
Yeah, like, where have you told, like, tiny little white girls not to go? Like, tell me that bar.
There you go, exactly.
And so they go down the way. So I go down the way, I'm sitting there, we're watching football or whatever, and of course it's before the show, because like I said, I gotta get in peak mental condition for my show. And so I'm sitting there hanging out or whatever, and this guy, I was like, football, right? And he goes, I barely watch anymore. I go, yeah. One millionaire throws it to another millionaire. What do I care, right? And he goes, I stopped watching when Kaepernick started leaning. And I go, fucking God damn it. I already started talking to you. God damn it. I was like, here we go. And he went on this rampage, and I was just kind of like, that's crazy. I'm trying to drink my beer as fast as possible. Like, oh, no, I got to go now. Like, all this shit. But then the best part was the bartender knew. So he, like, walked over, and he just goes, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Just
Come
let
on,
the man...
Bill. We've all heard this. We all know what you think.
Then I started talking to the bartender. Of course, he turned out to be one of the most interesting people I've ever talked to. Mm-hmm. And, because, I mean, he works at a big city fucking dive bar. You don't get there by being boring.
Right. Exactly.
So he had some fucking stories to the point that, like, by the end of it, I was just kind of like, I am so sorry that this show is starting and I'm late. For all I knew, they were on stage going, Terrell Norton. Am I saying it right? Is that why he's not coming out? Is that what's happening?
You're already an anomaly now because you've already admitted that you are a comedian and you watch football. Because usually you get that, I'll start talking football around comedians and they get that blank stare of like...
Eyes glazed over.
Or they'll try to take part and they're like, oh yeah, man, I just love it, in the football game and that when they slam dunk the ball and I'm like, no, that's not it.
When they get that hole-in-one, it's my favorite.
And they're on skates and they're, no.
Okay. My thing though is I like to watch football. I don't like to research football.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching it and someone's like, oh, so-and-so, 110 yards this season, and man, he's going, I'm like, so that guy, the one in the same jersey as the rest of them, how do you tell them apart? They go, the numbers on the, oh, okay, gotcha. But like, I like watching it, but also this year I started doing this thing where I gamble on it now. So,
okay.
I don't have much to gamble on it because I'm a comedian.
Because I was about to invite you to my fantasy football league. I thought if he doesn't do any research, this is the
Didn't
guy
it already
I want
start?
in there. Oh yeah, but I can get you in.
That's,
if you don't do any research, it's great. You just want to draft a lot of
sounds
kickers.
Great.
Just get a lot of kickers.
Listen, the point that you're trying to do is the second string. That's where you're at.
Oh, that's where the money's made.
You're not wrong though, because it's like out of nowhere. It's like, wait, he's in it, and meanwhile I'm on the end of the bar going, woo!
Well, he is one of those guys who knows every player and all their stats and everything.
And I mean, nothing against that. It's just kind of, I even just started getting into football back in the day because, I didn't really care that much. But, if I'm, I've got a girlfriend and she's got friends and they've got boyfriends. So I'm sitting with the boyfriends and just kind of this no man's land of we're just kind of sitting around waiting for them to tell us it's time to go home again.
Right.
Yeah. And then you'd just be that guy, we're all quiet, and then he just kind of leans over going, so 110 yards, huh? And I go, yeah, you got nothing here, man. I was like, but if y'all want to take it outside, we can smoke a little something, and this is a lot more fun.
Well, see, I went to Vegas with this guy and a bunch of buddies of ours, and we went specifically to gamble on football. That was what we were there for. And we get this fan cave, which is a private little space with like 6-7 TVs.
Okay, yeah.
Our own private couches.
Couches, the whole bit.
Our own waitress,
Jesus.
the whole 9 yards. We were doing it upright.
Which I don't care what you're there for. That's just fun.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But we get there on that Saturday, and we get there bright and early, and we start drinking immediately, and we're talking about what we're going to bet on for the day. And they're all talking statistics and who's playing and who's hurt and all of this. Meanwhile, I'm over there with the bet sheet, literally flipping a coin.
Yep.
And marking my bet sheet. And they look over and they're like, what the hell are you doing?
Winning.
Believe it or not, I outpaced a couple of them. I almost outpaced all of them. Unfortunately, he and one of our buddies, they know what they're talking about. So they had actually bet really well. But I almost beat the crowd with a coin toss.
See, I'm the guy too, because I remember a buddy of mine got into horse betting there for a bit, and he was like, "Dude, you gotta come over to this party, have a good time, or whatever." I said, "All right, what am I doing?" And he goes, "Here are the stats. It's a stack of fucking
sheets, yeah."
And they're taking it so seriously, to the point that when I go, that name sounds fun, I'm gonna do that one. They're like, you're out of your mind. I was like, it's $20. I'm good. I was like, I was gonna save that for a pre-roll on the way home, I guess. But yeah, fuck it. Let's have a good one. And dude, I think I won like 3 or 4 different races. Just being like, his name is what? Granddad's Old Medicine? Yeah, that one. I want that one. Like, well, he's not exactly racking really good. I go, okay. I don't really fucking care.
One of our buddies that we go to Vegas with quite a bit, he's a big-time horse guy. And I'm not. I don't follow him. I don't know anything about him. I'm with you. If the name looks cool, I would pick it.
Sounds good, yeah.
I don't even know the odds. I don't know what all that stuff
means. I think
means.
one of them, his name was Motorhead, and I go, for a Lemmy.
I
put it down. I was like, for a Lemmy.
Well, we get out there, and he gives us all this bet. He's like, okay, you're going to put all these horses and all these different races, and you're only going to put $2 down. But when all these hit, you're going to win a lot of money, and it's Right. So he had to draw it out for me because I don't know any of this crap. So whenever I go up to tell the lady, I'm like, Yeah.
Just slide it
yeah,
over.
Just, here you go.
Sir, why is this in crown?
Yeah. Pretty much.
6 over 9 and 12 over 3 with 4 as a follow-up. What the hell is that?
I don't
You
know.
want to try that again? Or
So I write all this down, go up, place my bet, come back. He takes the same sheet up for the lady, and he tells her, hey, this is what the bet is. And she goes through, and he brings his ticket back, and we match our tickets up. And I was like, wait, yours is different. She didn't type it in the same. And by then,
well, because when
late.
she asked you, you were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And when she asked him, he goes, no, this.
Yes.
Like, kind of did one of those numbers. Like,
So, unfortunately, mine matched the sheet. His didn't. And we're like, well, crap, it's too late because the first race has already gone off. You're just stuck with that ticket. I'm stuck with my ticket. We'll see what happens.
Whatever.
It'll be fun.
It was,
Yeah.
Came down to the last race. We hit every race to the last race. And this one horse fucked us. And so we're all like, damn it. And he's looking at his ticket. He's like, I think I won.
Real quick.
He goes up to her and he hands it to her. And she goes, oh, I guess all your buddies will be up here in a minute. And he's like, no, their tickets weren't the same.
No, they're mad.
And she scans his ticket, and this $2 bet won him $400.
Nice.
Because it was a fuck up. I'm like, damn it.
Okay, I
I
love
had to
winning
buy
on
a couple
fluke,
of drinks
though.
for that one.
Yeah,
he was on
I
the-
love winning on a fluke, though. Just kind of a random. Oh. Well, I remember a buddy of mine. He's cigars, gambling, whiskey. I joke with him all the time. I'm like, you're a grown up. Because every once in a while I'll make the joke that like I'll be drunk at the end of one of his parties or something. He's like, hey man, are you okay? He's doing fine because he's been sipping, and I'm like, shot of whiskey, like one of the, it's gonna be like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm not good at adulting. I'm not very good at this. Because it'll be like a really nice party to the point that like I've only sworn like maybe a couple of times while I was there, and I was just kind of like, fuck, is that we good? All right, cool. But like, yeah, I've never really been a nice party sort of fella. I've never been like a nicer things sort of guy my entire life. And so every once in a while when I get invited to do stuff like this, or, oh, this is a really nice whiskey or anything like that, I lock up a little bit. Like my arms kind of just elbows out a little bit. I'm just kind of like, if I drop something, I feel like insurance is going to get involved, like, am I good or is that...
Well, we probably ought to wrap this thing up. We could go on all night.
I could sit here all night. This is great.
And we have sitting around in the past, so we could literally go forever.
Yeah, I was like, I hope you're not looking at me to end this.
No, I'm going to wrap it up. But tell them where they can find you online or wherever you are.
Anything you got coming up?
Yeah, well, not really. I'm in the talks with a lot of stuff. You know how it is.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like,
always.
I'm trying to set up some stuff that it's just kind of like this one, that one, that one, that one.
Mm-hmm.
But the worst part is I'm waiting for calls back, and that is the worst time in the world because you're just kind of like, did I fuck up? I feel like I fucked up. Like it was, But no, my podcast, we haven't recorded recently. It's just been kind of like just writing it out for right now and planning new episodes. But it's on olaministries.com. It's one of the biggest podcast developers in the state, apparently. And I didn't know that. I just said, yeah, sounds good. But mine is Binge with Terrell Norton. We have episodes about TV shows where the running joke is we rarely talk about the TV show for very long.
Right.
These two have been on it. They have an episode in the past, and we've got a lot of really funny comics that have been on, musicians, like in the whole nine, and so it's been a lot of fun, and we've been doing it for a few years now, and I highly recommend it. I mean, not just because I'm on it, but it's just the people that have been on have been fantastic. So, but I'm also on social media, so Binge Podcast on Instagram. You can check us out, and I always like to make sure that I'm posting like if I have a show coming up or anything like that.
That's good.
But other than that, for right now, I'm just a dickhead. That's
KP, how about you?
Kind of the usual. I'm on all the social medias at KP Troubadour or at Kevin Price Band if you want to follow all of our musical shows and stuff that we got coming up. We've got coming up soonest. I've got a song swap on October 13th at Crop Happy's here in Tulsa, 51st and Harvard. Always a great time. They have great food. The bar staff is amazing. It's one of my favorite places to hang out.
They will get you fucked up.
They will.
They will get you.
Time.
Crop Happy's is one that you'll show up and it's just kind of like, I've had a day.
Yeah.
You help me and I'll help you.
And they know it. They're there for you. Then on October 14th, I'm up in Brookfield, Missouri for 2 shows. An afternoon show at Uptown Farms, which is, they have a big pumpkin patch and all this, set up with all these animals and all,
October shit.
Yeah, it's all that. Yeah, it's all that fall stuff. It's a great place though. One of the cool things about it, they do these little apple cider donuts, mini donuts.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So we always leave there with like dozens of those things.
Of course.
And then that night on October 14th, I'm at Helm Street Inn in Brookfield. Another great venue for live music. I'll be there with Hank Wilhelm. And then October 15th on Sunday, we have a show from 1:15 to 2 as part of the Skinner Fest, which is for Tom Skinner, one of Tulsa singer-songwriter. It's a festival that's all about him. And we are playing at Mercury Lounge at 18th in Boston that day as part of that. And what about you?
Well, as usual, you can find me at CR Parsons Comedy or CR Parsons Comedian on all the social medias. I will be at Skinnerfest with him. I will also be at Oktoberfest.
I failed to mention.
From the 17th through the 22nd. One of the top 5 Oktoberfests in the country is right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And little known fact, the home of the chicken dance.
It was created here.
It used to be.
Get the fuck out of here.
They had a song called the Duck Dance that they would do this weird little duck dance to. But when they had the Oktoberfest here, they were going to do the duck dance, but nobody had a duck costume. One of the TV stations had a chicken costume. So they put a chicken costume on and created the chicken dance. And it has been the chicken dance
for
ever
something
since.
as widely known as this story is not great for its inception. That's really... Hey, welcome to Tulsa. We didn't have the shit, so we invented another shit. Here we go.
But Oktoberfest is always a blast. If you want to reach out to us as the Smokey Guys, it's thesmokeyguys@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as I've mentioned before, if you want to keep track of your cigars, log them, make tasting notes and what have you, on Amazon, just look up CR Parsons. You'll see several different cigar logs in there that you can pick up. One specifically that I know producer Kevin likes is the Cigar Journal for the Working Man, because
nice.
he wants to pretend he's a working man instead of just sitting there chilling.
He just walks around
pretending
with his
to
log
produce.
book. He's just like,
Captain's log. The cigar is okay.
He's got readers. He's got his pen behind his ear.
Well, Terrell, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. We'll have to have you back sometime because, like I said, I know this could go on for hours.
It could. There's much to talk about. I didn't even tell you about the part that I'm a little bit alien. It's fine. We'll do that next time.
Well, now we've got a teaser for the next episode, for a future episode.
That's how he knows about the moon and the jail on the moon.
I'm like, broke out of there.
Well, thank you guys for joining us, and hey, until next time, stay smoky.